social commerce in action. I'm your host, Daryl Worslocker. Over the past couple of years, I've been seeing a shift in companies, introducing affiliate programs and a lot of changes really focusing on implementing social commerce strategies. So, affiliate programs, customer referral programs, rewards, loyalty programs, all of that. And the goal of the show is to bring on thought leaders and people in the industry that are seeing the change, that are part of the evolution, that can really share insights and stories of kind of what they're learning and what they're seeing. As you arrive, definitely introduce yourself in the comments. We'd love to hear from you and love to answer any questions as they arise. So today I'm super excited to bring on the guest today who has an extensive experience on both the ownership side and on the operator side of running a number of direct sales companies. Early in his career, he was a key executive with a $500 million direct sales company named Zengo. After that, he went on to own a couple of direct sales companies where he's actively on the board and actively involved in those operations. He was most recently CEO of Pure Haven and has taken a step back in that to focus really on helping CEOs, both the CEOs in his companies and in the broader industry, look at data, analytics, and how to best manage and operate their businesses. So I'm super excited today to bring on our guest, Bruce Jensen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Daryl. I'm so excited to be here with you, and thanks for all that you're doing you get such a unique viewpoint behind the scenes of all these different companies and providing technology to them to have the opportunity to interact. And I love the opportunity we have to just mind share as we do from time to time.
I appreciate that as well. I'm very grateful for the position I have, being able to talk to people like yourself and others in the industry to really understand where things are going and what's changing. And that's a good kind of segue into the last few shows I've had. We've really talked about the evolution in the industry, right? Talking about these direct-to-consumer companies adding affiliate programs, talking about existing direct sales companies adding affiliate referral programs. But from your perspective, right, you've seen it both from an owner and an operator perspective. Taking a step back, and when you look at companies that are looking to enter the space, right, and looking to go direct to consumer and looking at, do they just launch an affiliate program? Do they combine that with a direct sales component? You have such an extensive experience in the direct sales space. How do you see that? And why do you believe so strongly that direct sales is the answer to many of those go-to-market needs?
Yeah, I think, I guess to really answer that, Daryl, I have to go back to my own story, and why this is so important to me. I grew up on a farm in Kansas, and that farm had been in my family's for generations, and it was just kind of expected that I was going to be a farmer. And as I graduated high school, I had an opportunity to do a service mission for my church, and that took me away from the farm. And there was a woman that I met from a very influential family in the area where I was serving, and she saw something in me that I certainly hadn't seen in myself, and no one else that was in my circle of influence or friends had pulled out in me. And she kind of grabbed onto that and showed me, hey, there's another path here for you that's a different path than the one that you may think that you're going down to go back home and be a farmer and do all those things. Not that there was anything wrong with that path, but she said, maybe there's something more that you could do and you could give to the world. And she helped me. She kind of gave me an opportunity and showed me a path and helped me start down that path. And it unleashed something in me that I don't know that I ever would have without her. And that's what our industry does. Our industry is all about, it's not just about products, and it's not just about the method of are we doing an affiliate, are we doing it through direct sales channels, through MLM or party plan. It's about people at first. And it's about being able to open up opportunities for people to see paths or have opportunities to unleash things inside of them that maybe they don't even know they have. I wouldn't be sitting here today with you if it wasn't for Brenda Dudley, who saw something in me and gave me an opportunity that I never would have known myself.
It's really cool. So when you look at that then, and we talk about like it's about relationships and about the people. When you think about like then kind of peeling that down deeper and then saying, okay, you're going to go to market with a new strategy. How do you if you were starting a new company, right? How do you look at then kind of implementing a direct sales component? Because with affiliate, you can have some component of that, right? Some level of that referral relationship, but it seems like it only goes so far, right? There's only so much that if you're just affiliate with a direct consumer that you miss out on. What do you see with that? Like, what are those attributes that you see are missing in those affiliate or kind of direct models that direct sales and kind of that relationship can really help overcome or help supercharge? How do you look at
Yeah, and I think this is the grand question that we're facing today, because on the one side it's about those relationships, and it's about personal development, and it's about helping people reach beyond what they think, and that's all fits in the traditional direct sales model, right? That's what our industry was built on and is amazing at. But you have the movements today that require a level of simplicity that we've never hit before. Our compensation plans are notoriously complicated. They're hard to explain, they're hard to show, it's hard to achieve different things. And I think what the affiliate concept is forcing on us is, how do we simplify? How do we keep the best of who we are and simplify our offering? Because there's a lot of competitive offerings out there. I was just talking to a friend whose daughter, she just graduated from high school, and she went and signed up to deliver meals. And it's like, why did she sign up to deliver meals instead of signing up for a direct sales company? And the reason why is because she could jump on her phone and say, hey, I'm here and I'm available. And they said, here's your first meal delivery. She's like, great, I can do that. And she made $10. And she's not making a lot of money, but the ease, the simplicity, the convenience is really easy for her. And we've got to figure that out. I don't think we have figured out how do we simplify our offering to compete with those other things out there and keep this really amazing opportunity to develop people.
Because that seems to be the big thing that I keep hearing when I talk to other owners and other influencers in the space. It's that I just like you said, like there's a limitation as far as how much you can really earn from like an Uber, a Lyft, DoorDash, delivery, and that's really that compelling narrative. It seems like is there's only so much you can do with just a single affiliate, but if you're able to be that kind of person who can go and build relationships, train, mentor, you can build a sales team, and that's really where you can kind of grow those benefits and the income opportunity. And that seems like that's the kind of thing that we're all trying to figure out. I guess, have there been any kind of tactical lessons you've learned from kind of trying to figure this out that you've been able to implement in some of the companies you operate? I guess any takeaways for people who are listening that are kind of insights you've learned, strategies you've seen with this that can help others as they're navigating this journey.
Yeah, I think it comes down a little bit. I love Michael Porter. I mean, I know he's kind of a really deep business read, Harvard study kind of guy, but he talks about, look, how do we make ourselves unique, which is the personal development side, and but what do we do to compete in the world? And I think from a tactical standpoint, some of the things that I see working in companies that are being successful is they are really simplifying that front end offering, simplifying when a consultant or a distributor, whatever they're called in your company, starts, that there's really simple choices, and then whatever the next step is a really simple step. um, and and I, if I were helping guide, as I am in some of the companies I sit on their boards, I had a conversation with the VP of sales at one of those companies this morning, and as he was asking for counsel advice, I'm like, focus on that one thing. There's 11 different ways that people start with their company, and it is all over the board, and it's confusing, and we think people want a lot of choice, but at the end of the day, people want simple. They want, oh, go onto this website, sign up here, do this, and you get that. So the more we can simplify that very first step, the more we're on track to simplify the next step and make this an opportunity that can actually compete with those other opportunities out
Totally makes sense. And that's like a segue into one of the things that as you look at like operating and running these businesses, one of the things that you've talked to me about in the past is how you look at like measurements and how you look at like running operations of like how you implement controls around profitability, on growth, on ratios of like incentive trips towards revenue, and kind of like as people are looking at these shifts and as they're looking at the evolution in the space, what are some strategies and kind of key ways that you're looking at from like a profitability measurements? What should owners or executives be looking at to make sure that they're on track, right? How do you look at that?
there. Yeah, and I think this is where our industry, we've been in industry, and I've been in our industry for, gosh, 20 years now. And we're an industry that's like, oh my gosh, I'm keeping all my information close to the vest. I can't let anybody know anything about what we're doing. We don't release our actual sales numbers. We don't share any of that information. And I think it actually hurts us, because as a CEO, and this is where I really get passionate, because I've sat in the seat. I've sat in the CEO seat where I'm executing on strategies and I have a board that I'm reporting to, and I actually think our strategies are working, but the results aren't there yet. And the board is impatient, wanting results right now. And there might be market forces that are happening that are impacting the ability to actually get those results right now and show that our strategy is working. And how do you know that? So one of the things that I think I your question is kind of a multi-part question here. To start with the very first part, I basically said, look, we need a way that companies can compare their results against other companies and still keep all the data anonymous, because no one wants to throw their data out there and say, yeah, I'm losing if I'm losing. And we all win or lose sometimes as we're fighting this battle. And so being able to keep that anonymous, but still be able to get actual data that says, oh, hey, my strategy is working. Even though our sales are down, our sales aren't down as much as the rest of the market is down. And then it's like, so that's just on the broad sales, but then it's like, okay, what are the key metrics that you're looking at that are drivers of sales? Obviously, everybody looks at new consultants or new distributors, but are you going a step further and are you looking at how many people are enrolling? Because that's a level of activity that shows a deeper commitment to your cause or your company. And then can you compare all of those things? So I kind of break it down into two different areas. There's the sales side metrics that are all the questions of, is our sales strategy working? Is our field being effective? Are we getting duplication? We talk about duplication all the time, and when I get into companies, it's like, well, what's actual duplication? What's the definition of duplication? And they have a hard time answering what the answer to that is. And really, it's about, do you get someone in? Does that someone do something that ends up bringing another person in? And if that's happening, that's where duplication starts to happen, and you start to see sales growth. But I think one of the things that we miss so bad in our industry, and I've been part of a company that had just monumental sales growth, but was absolutely terrible at managing to the bottom line. And we have our we are cash-based companies. We get transactions right up front. We should be all about dropping dollars to the bottom line. Profitability should be a huge thing that we're driving for, and yet I don't hear it talked about very often. And one of the things that we've put in place in our companies is specific metrics around are on the operational side of things. What percentage of sales are you spending on recognition? What percentage of sales are you spending on events? What percentage of sales are you spending on other distributor related things? What percentage of sales are you spending on IT services? what percentage of sales we spend on marketing services, and we have strict metrics that hit each of those areas, that as long as the companies hit those things, they're guaranteed to hit profitability. And it's been really interesting as our market has gone down over the last year, and everybody has seen a decline in sales. Our companies have maintained immense profitability through that because their spending automatically starts adjusting to stay within the metrics that are predefined.
What you've been in the industry for a while. Why do you think companies aren't looking at profitability in those types of ways? Like, why do you think, from an industry perspective, is it just the growth and you don't have to worry about the profitability when you're having insane growth, or do you think there's more roots people don't know? I guess what's your hypothesis of why people aren't looking at that?
You know, my data set is limited to a handful of companies that I've personally been involved in, and in the companies that weren't good at it, it was just a lack of discipline that I think is rooted in our business model. Having a cash-based business model that spins off cash when sales are going in with the kind of margins that we can get on product. Um, it inherently There's the inherent belief that, oh, we spend more into that distributor field, the more we spend, the more revenues go up. And when you got the fly-in company, it sure feels like that's the right thing. But it's discipline through that revenue growth, and also discipline when it's not so good, because I've been on both sides of that, that actually maximizes profitability in any environment that you're dealing with. And that's one of the fun things that I have the opportunity to help other companies with, is to, again, how would you like to see what you're spending in a particular area is as a comparison to everybody else in the industry? Wouldn't that be awesome to say, oh my gosh, we're spending 15% of our sales on events, and this company over here is only spending 5%, and they're at our same revenue level. Well, why is that enough? Or it just raises great questions as a CEO or as an executive team, that you can start asking yourself of, well, what's our strategy? Why are we spending this? Should we be spending this? Are other people spending this? And it guides such better decision making.
So on that, I mean, I think that's a good, when you look at the kind of like how these companies are evolving, right? I was talking with an owner last week of another direct sales company, and what they're talking about, and what a lot of people are talking about, is the shift in spending, right? Where it used to be that you have the consultants or the distributors that would handle the marketing, they would handle the customer loyalty, they would handle all of that stuff downstream. But as things have shifted, that's now become the responsibility of the company, which then comes into, how do you allocate those funds, and kind of, as you're looking at them saying, okay, now as a company, you're going to take on some lead generation, direct to consumer ways to build a brand and build that. How I seem like that's the foundation, right? Like, once you start, having those foundational metrics, you can start kind of shifting that. Like, how do you look at that, right? Because I think that's a challenge that everybody's running into as well. Of, how do you shift the dollars, right? You're efficient with some things, but at the same time, now you got to increase spending in ads or lead gen. Like, how are you looking at that, and how are you approaching that with the companies you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Michael Porter, it's margin and cost, right? It's really those two things, and then you start taking your costs and you break those down and say, well, we have a mandate in our company. We have a mandate of a certain percentage of profitability, and so our costs have to fit within a certain amount in order to hit that profitability. Within that, we can adjust those buckets all that we want, but we can't go over the buckets. Or we have to now turn and look at the margin side of the equation and say we want to spend more in this area, whether it's a commission program, whether it's an incentive program, whether it's lead generation, whether it's PR to create lead generation, whether it's innovative marketing ideas, additional technology. Everything's an option, but it can't be an option at the expense of profitability. That's where, one of the most heartbreaking things that I've seen in our industry is when a company fails, and the consultants or distributors lose their opportunities. a company only fails if it's not paying attention to that bottom line. And it, it's 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 honoring the commitment of our consultants and distributors to say we are going to run a profitable company. I've had conversations with consultants or distributors where I've actually said that they're asking me for a program or asking us to spend more money in a certain area. And I'm like, hey, you know, we're not going to spend in that area because that would mess up our ultimate profitability. Um, Inevitably, they've said, thank you. Thank you for helping us understand that you're committed to keeping the company profitable so that our opportunity isn't going to go.
Totally, that totally makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's this good steward of having a responsibility for how many lives that you're impacting. That totally makes sense. Now, one of the things you talked about too is culture within these companies and kind of maintaining a good company culture and how do you bring your employees along with this, right? So as you're implementing the different metrics and measurements, how do you get the employees to be part of the solution, right? Of looking to that, and how do you look at that?
Yeah, it's really this has been something that has fascinated me since um, I remember studying it when I was working on my MBA. How you get employees at every level to buy in and participate in working to achieve these kinds of results. And I remember sitting down with the CFO of Zanga and saying, "Hey, we should implement this type of a structure that's a profit sharing component." And I talked about there's there's stock options. That's a thing that we could do. And all the research at the time had said, stock options are great, but they actually create some bad behaviors. It's all about stock value, and stock value is not necessarily about profitability and some of those things. And ultimately, profitability, if you can get that to be your metric, that's how you return value to shareholders. The best is by maximizing profitability. So it ultimately became a question of how do you get an employee, a employee at the lowest levels of the company to actually care bottom line number. And it really requires two components. One, it requires that you be a level of transparent with your employees, that you help them understand where you are succeeding or failing as a company so that they know and are aware. But two, just like our distributors, they need an incentive. We spend so much time on compensation plans and those kinds of things. In our companies, we actually put in a structure where 10% of all the profits go into a pool, and and that pool is then paid out every quarter to all the employees. Every single employee participates in the profit sharing pool. And there's different structures that we've created within that to say how does someone participate, and it's based on their salary level and how long they've been with the company and different things like that. But it's been remarkable to see just regular employees, someone in the call center saying, "Yeah, I don't need to do that. I don't need that cost. So let's not do that because I want to contribute to helping our company be more profitable." Or entire departments say, "Yeah, I know sales are growing and we could expand, but I don't need to. I have all the resources that I need right now, and I don't want to expand so that we can improve that profitability number because they're getting a piece of every dollar." And there's some super bonuses. If they achieve this, they get even more. But there's a defined structure that we put in the companies that is just remarkable in how it works to drive profitability. I should say there's also a sales side to it as well, because you can get unbalanced. You can get unbalanced, so focused on profitability that you hurt your ability to grow sales. So the key executive team members also have a sales component to their compensation, that as they grow sales, their compensation is increasing too. So it's kind of a two lever system that we get 100% buy-in from every employee.
That's really cool. That's very interesting. That's really cool. When you look at that, then, and you look at companies like specifically direct sales companies that are well run, what are some of the things you look at that are like, the companies really should be focusing on, right? So profitability, sales growth on the top end. Are there other things that you look for that executive CEOs should be looking at, and talking about, well run direct sales company?
Yeah, and it's really on the sales side of things, the best run direct sales companies have a simple entry point and a simple system. We have a saying, get them in and get them up is the key to success, right? You got to get them in and you got to get them to move up. And moving up is all about what you do next. A long, long time ago, I don't remember the name of the individual, um, but it's been a concept that's been around forever about the old joke, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. And in our world, the more you can not make them know they're having to eat the elephant, but you're just giving them the next bite. The companies that are growing right now that I see have made that so simple that, hey, here's where I start and this is what I do next. And now this is what I do next. And each of those next steps take them right through the compensation plan and take them right through leadership. Um, and so simplifying that so that I know how to start, I know what to do. That's key to sales growth. And then adding the discipline of employees working together and being disciplined on what you're spending on the backside of your company is the recipe for a great company, whether you're in our industry or not.
Totally, yeah, great insights. Totally makes sense. And we have a couple minutes left. Any parting thoughts before we wrap it up for today? I know we can talk for a long time on a lot of concepts around here. I thought it was great, kind of focusing on the measurement and what you've shared so far. But any other parting thoughts? Anything else that you want to share with the viewers?
I think the only thing what I'm passionate about is helping people achieve greatness, and I really love working with CEOs because I've sat on both sides of this fence, and really the service that I provide is really giving people that opportunity to see their metrics compared to other companies in an anonymous way that protects their information but gives them a viewpoint to how their strategies. It goes back to good to great. Jim Collins, when he was writing that, it's the business Bible for me. I reread it often, and he just talked about compared to what. You're out there working your butt off trying to move your business forward. And what did you beat last month? Is that good or not good? Did you beat last year? That might be good, but it might not be. If you beat last year and the whole industry is up 30% and you only beat it by 5, you're not winning. And so giving people the opportunity to have a comparison point to where they can see, are we winning, and adjust their strategies is a really fun part of this for me. So getting an opportunity to speak with thought leaders like you, I just love what ByDesign's doing. I say all the time, I think you guys are the answer on the technology side. I would push anybody to come your way, mostly because not just because of the technology and the services you provide, Daryl, but because of you. You're attempting to be a thought leader in this industry. You like to think deep. You read a lot. You partner with companies and you want to sincerely help them. And I just think that's a gold mine of recipes for success if people want to find a service that's going to help them be successful.
Well, I sincerely appreciate it, Bruce, and I always enjoy our conversations. Like, it's always great going deep in philosophical discussions around where the industry's going, everything is going. It's great to chat with you, and I appreciate your time today, and I hope our viewers got some good insights out of Bruce's knowledge and his experience. And thank you all for watching. Thank you, Bruce.
Awesome. Thanks, Daryl. Appreciate you guys.